Liquor Talk, new episode starts now. Welcome everybody to another edition of the Liquor Talk podcast. I'm your man Victor, and today on tonight's episode, we got a date night podcast. We got 3 different podcasts being represented on this episode. First up, we're gonna start. Well, let's go ahead and introduce everybody. First up, we are gonna start with the single lady holding it down in DC. She is the host of the Listen to Your Single Friend podcast. You heard her a little while ago. It's Jasmine. How you doing today, Jasmine?
Hey, thanks for having me back. It was just a few weeks ago, so I feel like I did a good job.
A few weeks ago, and honestly, the momentum of the podcast we did is what sparked this episode today, because it's like the feeling I got from you and the feeling I have for myself was we need to talk to some married couples because we need to solve some mysteries.
Yes.
So what do you think about this real quick? What do you think about DC being known as the top place for black singles? Do you find that good or bad?
So I've had this discussion before. I agree, but it's like, what are they looking for? Because you notice it's not about like married people or, like serious relationships. It's a great place. If you just want to date and have fun, it's a great place. But like for those of us who are, maybe trying to settle down, get something a little bit serious. Yeah, it's not. It's just like everybody else. Very good. Yeah,
that's definitely true. All right, we done met the single lady. Now let's meet the married couples. We're gonna start out west podcast out of California. Yeah, they're the host of the Married and the Crazy podcast. You heard them on episode 102 of Liquor Talk a long time ago. And the reason I remember y'all is because that is the only episode of Liquor Talk that my mother shared on her Facebook page. That's how I remembered that one. And we had a great conversation, but that was the only episode my mom shared on her Facebook page. That's how I remember y'all. And also we had a great singles forum on y'all podcast. So Snooks and Lovey, how y'all doing tonight?
We're doing good. I don't know. I mean, I'm honored that your mother shared us. But I'm also kind of concerned, like, okay, what demographic are we hitting with our podcast?
My mother be following me on Facebook, so she be seeing when I post episodes. I guess she just hit play on that particular episode.
That's what's up.
Hey, that's cool. We'll take them all. Hey,
thank you, Mom.
There's no age limit on love.
Right.
That's real, and this is coming from the married mother who hit plays. All right, last but not least, we got the married couple out the East Coast podcast out in New Jersey. You heard them on episode 175, and you heard them on you heard me on their podcast as well. They go by the podcast of Unprofessional Opinion. How you guys doing, Shard and Mel?
We're good. Thanks for having us back.
Thank you.
Hey, y'all said y'all wanted to come back, and I need the excuse to bring y'all back, so here we are.
You don't need no excuse. All you got to do is just call. That's it. We'll make time.
That's real. Ladies and gentlemen, now that everybody knows everybody, let's get to know. We're gonna start off by getting to know the married couples. Chardonnay, I don't think we touched on y'all love story. So tell me about y'all love story and everything, So I'm gonna give y'all a little time to shine, you know what I'm saying?
Man, you don't want to hear that story. You don't want to hear that.
So we met about 21 years ago in California.
Redondo
Beach. I went to school in Redondo Beach, high school in Redondo Beach, California, and Rashard is he went to Crenshaw High School. So he was 2 years removed from high school when we met. We met on a blind date.
Total accident. I didn't want to go.
We talked on the phone a couple of times, and he was really rude on the phone. He was like,
I don't want to go.
He was like, if you're ugly, I'm not trying to be talking to you for weeks. And then I find out that I'm not attracted.
Because I'm looking for a wife, Vic. That's what we were talking about, right? I knew what I was looking for.
And I said, I'm not trying to talk to you either for forever. So then we met up with our friends. And
we gorgeous.
And we still talk to the friend that set us up, Christina. Shout out to Christina. And here we are. We got married 3 years. After that, I was 16 and you were 19. So we got married 3 years after that, 21 and 23.
Yeah, you was 4. So you was 17.
Yeah, I was 17.
Yeah, and you're making me be a cradle robber.
No.
Wasn't the case at all.
And the rest is history.
That's funny.
Wow, that's real. That's some real love. That's young puppy love right there.
Right.
We're gonna definitely come back to that. We're gonna definitely revisit that. Now, for the people that did not hit play on episode 102, Snooks and Love, why don't y'all tell the people about your love story because they have a very interesting love story.
So we met. It wasn't a blind date.
I said it
likes
was
to
a
say it
blind
was a date, but it wasn't a date. You have to agree on meeting for a date. So we were basically bamboozled because someone that I work with knew his mom and she kept trying to hook us up for about 6 months. We met at a Christmas party. I didn't like him. He liked me.
She told everybody I was,
I
a
didn't tell
nerd.
everybody.
She did.
Oh my God.
She did. She walked around talking about, I don't know why these people think I'm supposed to talk to him. He ain't my type. He's a nerd.
Okay, I said all that, but I did not say all that night. So it took me 8 days. It took me 8 days.
I knew at first sight that she was the one. And she took her 8 days. And then approximately 4 months later,
4 months later, we got engaged. A week after, 5 days after our engagement, I was attacked by my ex-boyfriend who was stalking me. He was stabbed in the heart. He had 2 open heart surgeries. And 8 months after that, we were married. So that was almost 25 years ago. So we'll be 25 years in January.
Nice.
Wow. You see, we had to bring the experience on both coasts for this podcast. You know what I'm saying? Dating in 2021 is just ridiculous. I mean, Jasmine, how you feeling over there hearing these stories?
It's very ghetto. I'm gonna keep saying it. It's very ghetto. We just here and we trying and we scratching and surviving. Okay.
Yes, we're definitely scratching and surviving. Let's go ahead and let's get a quick icebreaker in. Since it is Halloween right around the corner, what's the worst Halloween candy you ever got?
Tootsie Rolls. That's not Halloween candy. That's grandma at church candy.
For me, it wasn't candy. I got a Bible scroll.
What? They gave you a Bible scroll?
Yeah.
No.
Still salty.
He's like, yeah.
That is wrong.
I'm gonna go with milk duds. Don't put milk duds in my bag, man. That's calls for toilet paper rolls on your trees and shit. Milk duds are terrible. Whoever out that milk dud is an accident in the lab, and they decide to put it out. White people just love it.
I don't disagree.
I love milk duds.
I don't disagree. You know what? For me, any form of taffy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any form of taffy. I was like, I don't understand this. It automatically got thrown in the other pile. You know what that is?
Yeah, B-side candy is what I call it.
Mine was those little red, they're Boston baked beans or something.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I was ready to cry when I didn't understand. I thought it was like a gooey something, and I bit into it.
They're very hard. Yeah. Yeah.
It was horrible.
But keep it real. It was. We saying all this candy. It was probably on those occasions where somebody put a red apple.
Yeah.
I used to look at that like, who does that?
Right.
People hate children.
A dentist.
Man, you know what's worse? I saw somebody posting they're gonna give out ramen noodles. I'm like, y'all gonna give out some ramen noodles?
That's funny.
I could use that.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
yeah, those we could use it, but now there's no kid.
Well, Vic, my brother-in-law, we went to go get candy one year, and my brother-in-law handed out microwave popcorn and Pop-Tarts to kids in the neighborhood.
And the Capri Suns.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
that's kind of a meal. I'm trying to hear for that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll work with that.
Pop-Tarts?
That's creative.
But the worst candy I ever got was the Good and Plenty because it's licorice, and licorice is nasty.
Well, black licorice though, right?
Yeah, the black licorice.
Okay, yeah. You gotta qualify. Yeah.
That one. That one is just disgusting. I tried. I'm like, are you serious? Who the hell likes this kind of candy?
Frankenstein.
All right.
I'm like Frankenstein. I'm like Frankenstein. I need to have a word with you or something.
I'll be what turned him into the monster. So
Right.
Hell yeah, take a bad dose. You will definitely turn into the monsters. All right, let's get into some trending things. Now, I know y'all saw the story about we're gonna deal with a celebrity for a minute because I'm just like, y'all know where I'm going. Jada and Will. I'm like, because everybody idolized this couple, like everybody was making songs about them. What would y'all do in that situation? Because I feel bad. I'm like, Will, seriously, what in the world is going on with y'all relationship to where every little thing is now coming out to the media? How would y'all feel if that was y'all in a relationship?
So is it a new thing or because
Jada was talking about their relationship. And she was talking to Gwyneth Paltrow. She has some new show about sex and sexuality for couples on Netflix. And she says something like, we've been married for 22 years, you know, something to the effect of like, it's hard to have sex, or it's hard to, what she was basically saying was, we've been married for a very long time. And, you know, you think you know your partner, but you still have to communicate. That's the gist of what she was saying. But because of the August Alsina and the entanglement, and, you know, we all pretty much know they have like a little bit of an open marriage. Everybody's already decided that they like feel a way about Jada, and they felt like she was saying, so the headline that came out was Jada said it's hard to have sex with Will. But that's not actually what she said if you actually read the article.
Yeah, what she said was like, it was true. Like if you've been in a long term marriage, she was just saying, or relationship in general, just saying like, you can't think that your partner can guess after 20 years what you still like 20 years later. So that's what she was saying. But because we all hate her, we don't care what she was saying.
I don't know about all of us because she's still on my list.
I mean, she is hard to. It's Will Smith. Like, come on. It's what. Not that I have a guy crush, but I'm just saying, it's like, don't embarrass him. Just tell him.
Yeah.
Tell him.
Everything doesn't have to be a story.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's the main thing I was looking at. Like, why are people like that? Like, why would you want to be with somebody that's blabbing everything?
I think she's jealous of him. That's what it is. She's jealous of his success.
I don't think that. I think that Jada takes her transparency. And as a single woman, I'm like, I like when married couples are transparent, because all I hear is marriage is hard. You'll find out when you get there. And so I appreciate when married couples are honest about things other than infidelity that are struggles in their marriage. So I've already thought that it was refreshing, but I think that Jada is getting to that point of oversharing, you know, like, like I think it's, but I also think that this scenario, she did not deserve to get dragged. Other times, maybe, but this specific one, they already decided they didn't like her.
Well, let's not forget, we're talking about Will and Jada, both of which have handlers, both of which they have people on staff that are actually strategizing on how to make sure they get the most mileage out of the media.
Yep.
So I don't doubt that a lot of what's being leaked is strategically being placed for consumption, because they know that, I mean, you know, Will is the king of social media. So there's a lot of
he is.
That's very strategic, you know, and I think that maybe his people are talking to Jada's people and saying, look, you know, we need to get you out there. Look, it's the old saying. Doesn't matter if it's good media, bad media, it's all good media, because if your name is being mentioned, we can capitalize on it.
I feel like this is an opportunity for us as just regular people, kind of to your point, what, like you were saying, not Jasmine, I'm sorry, Melody, I'm sorry, Melody, but kind of like Melody was saying, people have already decided that they hate her. So no matter what she says, somebody's going to have something to say about it, whether she's speaking the truth or not. But kind of like, if you, like you said, you like transparency, Jasmine, so we'll be transparent. And actually, Melanie.
Am I on board for this?
Yeah, shut up. Melanie even said, you know, what she said was true. You know, as a married couple, we cannot just take for granted that because we've been having sex for 20 something years, that today I feel like doing it the same way. No, maybe I want something different. Maybe what you did yesterday, I don't like that. Or maybe I didn't say, hey, I wasn't feeling that so much, or whatever. We still have to be able to communicate. But because sex is taboo, kind of to talk about because of the whole August Alsina. What's his name?
Yeah. I seen
I'm gonna call him Post Malone because of all that. Because of all that, now people feel some kind of way about it. But it's like if she's telling her truth, then let her tell her truth. Yeah. And then another question I have too is it because it was Will Smith that because we love him so much? What if it was Angela Jolie who said it about Brad Pitt? Would people be
wouldn't care?
Yeah, no.
But exactly. But because it's Will Smith, how you gonna be acting like that with Will? Because I felt some kind of way about it too, though. You know.
That's why I think it's calculated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it could be. And I was thinking that I was saying that I'm like, my goodness, Will Smith has been to me. We haven't heard all this about him, but now all this is coming out. So okay, he got a point. It could be calculated because
it could be.
I know he got that new movie where he plays Richard Williams, Serena Williams' daddy coming out.
Oh, good point. Good point.
So I know he got that movie. So I'm like, but why would they need to do that to calculate that? I don't know.
And I'm gonna go. I go on record to say like I don't like Jada, but after I seen and heard the explanation, or like my wife explained it to me, I agree with her 100% because things can get dull. You know what I mean? You can only pump so much, in so many directions. So I agree that you should try to switch it up. I mean, so
right.
Thank you for telling, because we just finished talking about this probably like 20 minutes ago. So I was like, I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Because he came pumping his fist, like, here she go again. I'm like, no, this is what happened.
Yeah. She didn't deserve it this time. Not this time.
So I'm sorry, Jada, if you hear this, write all comments to Liquor Talk.
You know what? Good comments, bad comments. Hey, we'll take all the publicity to get the name out. So you know what I'm saying? Because the one thing I've learned over the years is good publicity, bad publicity. Somebody gonna go hit play on your stuff, because that's how I found out about Kevin Samuels and all these other relationship guru people and stuff. Speaking of them, what do y'all think of them when y'all hear these relationship guru people telling women certain things, and then they telling men that, oh, we need to be buying our women, we need to be paying our bills and all that stuff? What are y'all thoughts about when y'all hear all these social media relationship gurus going in on things?
Saying that the men need to pay the bills?
Men need to pay her bills while they're dating and stuff, like things along those lines.
I think they just need to shut up.
Listen, everything begins and ends with balance, right? So when you're dating someone, you're trying this person out, I mean, you see if you guys can fit and move on to the next level. All these gurus and stuff, they say things to grab. It's clickbait. It's just gaining attention to their channel. Hey, one thing that me and Mel always talk about is just being our authentic self. So when you come to our house and hang out, this is exactly who you get, right?
Right.
Some of these people don't even talk to each other off camera, or
or if you like, even if you ask Kevin Samuels, you ask him questions about his relationships, he'll say, I don't want to speak about it.
Yeah.
So how are you going to tell people to be accountable and give advice? And some of your advice may be good, but we can't even get real life examples from you because you won't even share anything about yourself. Right. So I take it with a grain of salt. And I also feel like it's a bunch of problems that people are given, but nobody's like talking about the solution. How do we get to a resolution? It's just more men against women.
Yeah. Right. And it's the sad part is, again, we're talking about transparency. And one of the things, it sounds like, I'm going to definitely check out Unprofessional Opinion, but it's one of the things that we talk about. Just look, Snooks and I, we started off talking about getting stabbed, the good, the bad, the ugly, the things I did wrong, her asking for a divorce at year 4.
Everybody hating me because he got stabbed, because obviously it was my fault that he got stabbed. No one knew the story. No one knew whatever, but I had to be comfortable with the judgment that I knew was going to come,
I'm just saying, it wasn't my ex that stabbed her. No.
Hold on, we need to take a break. No.
But I think it's that transparency, it's that congruency, because we're at the end of the day, we're there for marriage, right? in all of its flavors and all of its seasons. And when you got some gurus, I hate even calling them
I was about to
gurus.
say, but what makes him a guru?
But somebody's out there talking about, you said, they're one-dimensional. They're talking about, well, these are the problems. This is what we need to do. It's like they said, clickbait. They're trying to create challenges and only speak to those challenges. But they got to speak to every season. They can't just talk about spring. They got to talk about summer. They got to talk about fall. They got to talk about winter. And talk about, the different layers of clothing they wear in each of those seasons and why they wear it. Mm-hmm.
But also, I feel like too, I mean, I just want to kind of go back on the whole guru thing. A doctor, they don't just come out and I graduate from high school and all of a sudden I'm a doctor because I say I want to be, because I'm interested in medicine. There are things you have to do. You have to perform. What did he say?
He said Dre did. Pass. Dre gets a pass.
Dre crazy. I tell him no. But there are certain things that you have to do. You have to prove yourself. You can't just go in there. You have to pass boards. You have to, their exams or whatever it is. So how are you a guru? Because you said you were. And then the other part is going back to transparency. If I can't see what you do, if you never share who you are, don't tell me something and then you're going to close yourself off. When you're transparent and you're honest, that brings trust. So I can trust what it is that you're saying. If I don't know nothing about your relationship, then you better go sit down somewhere.
Exactly.
Listen for.
Yes, that's very simple. She said it right there. And I usually respect the ones that have life experiences behind what you're trying to tell me. That's how you get the most respect out of somebody. If you're able to be vulnerable and share what you went through and tell me why you're telling me this. That's very transparent, and we usually respect that. You know what I'm saying? So people, we need to do that more often instead of just putting up shit for clickbait and being a distraction.
Yeah.
I agree.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Liquor Talk. The more you drink, the better we sound. We got the ultimate date night, ladies and gentlemen. So if you want to know something about relationships or whatever, y'all need to be tuning into this one because you're going to get something out of this episode right here. So I'm going to defer to the single lady in the house tonight. Jasmine, I know you got some questions for these married couples because you sounded like you had some questions last time we recorded. So I'm going to put you on the spot. Now, I hate to put you on the spot. But hey, talk to the married couples. I know you got something for them.
Yeah. So one thing I asked my circle, specifically the married people, a lot, and I alluded to this earlier, about the transparency thing. A lot of times we hear about how hard marriage is. What does that mean? That is all we hear over and over again. Marriage is hard. Marriage is hard. But all we see is the vacations and the matching PJs at Christmas and the family portraits. And obviously you guys have podcasts, so you're clearly being transparent. But what does marriage is hard mean?
It means the same thing when you're dating someone in a long-term relationship. The hard, picking out what ply toilet paper you want to pick out, deciding where you're going to spend Christmas, deciding where you want to live, what type of house you want to live. Buying a house together to me is the ultimate.
Yeah. The in-laws.
Yes.
To me, I think once you figure out I call it the smush shit, the trash, or in football term, they say you got to get away from the trash so you can get to open field, Once you get to that, it's not hard. And we said this on our podcast. Actually, Mel said it. I wouldn't say nothing like this because my mom watched, but she said marriage shouldn't be hard because the only thing that should be hard is
hard dick and bubblegum.
It should. Hello.
So
right.
So if that's the only thing that should be hard, because I feel like you should be able to.
You should coast.
We're talking about transparent. You're supposed to be close. You guys have your own jokes and you're able to explain stuff to each other. Or me and Mel talked about we can be in a room and see each other, you ready to go? I'm I give her the look.
Or we can smell each other. We know each other's scent. And
it smells very good tonight too.
So
is that sweat?
Probably. But just certain things. I feel for us, the hardest part was the first year. That first year was
tough. Yeah, because we slept in a twin bed.
year 5.
No, year 6.
6 into 7 was hard for us. So it's just when you're having those
she didn't want to be a
transitions.
housewife, and I was like, all right, it was that was a hard part because she was growing, she was changing into this woman that between 20 and 25 was a married woman, and we're trying to be responsible, and she can't go out with her friends. She gotta stay home, and I gotta put in the hours to keep us afloat. She got tired of that shit, and she was like, I want to be 20 years old. I want to be, and so that was hard. And then I haven't went through my my spurt yet, but it's gonna be amazing. Oh, I can feel it. I can feel it. But those are the changes humans go through, and if you're with somebody that love you, you can adjust to it. You just gotta figure out.
As long as y'all grow together. If you're both growing, then you can adjust to it. But if one person is growing, the other one's being left behind, it's not gonna.
And that's the hard part. That's the hard part. From my opinion, that's the hard shit that you got to deal with. Because believe it or not, when people change and they're morphing into their next person or whatever, they're assholes. Like they really turn into this person you never met before, and then you go, God, I love this motherfucker, but I want to kill you. Like, you know what I mean? It's like you come home and they eat your leftovers, and you're like, I wanted that. Like I starved all day for this left, and you ate it, and you didn't even tell me you ate it. So, and everything's close. It's one of those variables, but they change. So that to me, that's the hard part. They call it the 7-year itch, which we're doing another episode about that, but. It's a 7, like people change every 7 to 10 years.
Yeah.
They change, and that's the hard part. The change. Kids change you. Your relatives, believe it or not, your grandmothers, and you fight over time and travel. And my parents live in 2 states. So they like to come here. And we fight over like, okay, are we gonna have all of them in the house? Because my mom remarried. So I'm like, well, Christmas is gonna be awkward, but the kids love all 3 of their grandparents.
Yeah. so it's trivial things from the outside looking in, but it can make or break you. Yeah. If you don't handle it accordingly.
And if you don't have rules of engagement starting off, as far as these things, which we didn't in the very beginning, and so it's you're talking about growth, but it's no 2 people are going to grow at the same rate. It's extremely rare. And it ends up being like, and when one person's behind, they're like, why are you tripping? Why are you changing? The person in front's like, well, why aren't you keeping up? Why don't you hold up your end of the bargain? And then there's all these conversations that take place, and the heart is going to be relative to each couple. So it's funny, like they can talk about, what's hard in their relationship. There's going to be a lot of similarities of what's hard in ours, but each couple, just like each of us as individuals, has your own unique DNA. Everybody has a fingerprint that makes you extremely unique. Well, when you come together and as a couple, married couple, and you take those vows, you just formed your own marital DNA. And it can't be your mama's marriage, your daddy's marriage, your uncle, your auntie, your grandparents. It's got to be your own entity. And as you're discovering and creating this whole new universe, if you will, there's a heart that goes along with forging your own path. Because when people give in to the hardness, like, oh, it's just hard, I just got divorced. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong. Look, just because we're pro-marriage does not mean that we're anti-divorce.
Right.
Because sometimes puzzle pieces just don't fit.
Yeah.
And you got to make sure that as you're growing and creating this universe, that you're okay with it. When people fail, more times than not, it's because they're trying to mimic the Will and Jada. I saw this on whatever. Oh, the way my daddy did it or the way my mama did it.
Yes.
And you're trying to force that into your DNA. That's their DNA, not your DNA, marital wise. And so it's difficult or different because when you're dating, you can be like, I'm done, deuces, I'm out.
Yeah.
Not so easy once you actually sign that piece of paper.
Right.
Yeah, and you start gaining assets and trying to manage stuff, and yeah, it ain't fun splitting that shit. Trust me. I've seen it happen before. It's not cool.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, we'll split it for you, and then we'll give you the rest after we sell it all.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. So
That is real. Now I got a follow-up question because both y'all sound like y'all got married in your 20s. And I was watching Divorce Court, and I remember Judge Toller saying something about your 20s are your selfish years. Now, how did y'all navigate those years knowing that your 20s are supposed to be your selfish years, but yet y'all are married? How did y'all navigate those years? Because I saw Divorce Court, and the couples, they get divorced very young. They'll get married like in 19, 20. They're 24, 25, they done got divorced. So what y'all think?
We got married in our late 20s. We were 28 when we got married. So I kind of agree with that. The 20s are your selfish years, basically. So, even when we got married, I was still, my 30s were, I'm always got some selfishness going on. It maybe not so much in the years, but whatever the activity it is, when I'm reading, don't bother me. Don't say nothing, just go away. I'm being selfish. I have my own time. But
and I know that by the time we met, even though it was in our late 20s, I'd already lived what felt like 3 lives. I'd been in the service,
in the military.
I traveled on the other side of the world
or something.
I wasn't just a dog. I was like my own pack. And and the crew I ran with, we did a lot of dirt. So by the time I came back to the US, I was like, okay, I'm done with that because I'm tired, and when other folks was talking about, I'm gonna get this is my fantasy. I'm like, I ain't doing that ever again. I'm like, there's just things where I was just tired. Like I know what I want. And it just so happened when I showed up, when she was on the pole and I was throwing them dollars, I just knew she was the one. And she looked back and said, I don't accept small bills. And I was like, okay.
While you're talking about that, because we were discussing vanity, what was it? The
Vanity against
Apollonia.
I think
and I was like,
whack.
Nah, they're not whack. I was just saying, like, that song. Do you want to? Was how you sing it?
Nasty Girl.
Yeah, Nasty Girl. Yeah. I was like, yo, she's like, that song sucks. I'm like, it's the perfect stripper song.
No.
Yes, it is.
It's not.
Yes, it is. It's the if I was a female, I would come out to that. It's universal.
It ages you. Like, it would show how old you were.
No, it's not. It's classic. It's like,
there's no classic strip song.
Like Donny Hathaway's, Christmas song. It's gonna be around forever.
I'm sorry, I gotta agree with you on that because that's classic. As soon as I hear that, turn it up. I'm like, ah!
There it is.
Kids were little, they went to bed. Guess what?
Okay.
Dropping that Vanity 6. Let's go. People put flowers and stuff on the bed. I had dollar bills, Vanity 6. Let's go. Let's recreate. Let's go.
He had the whole scene ready.
Yeah.
He said, girl, I'm not playing with you today.
Period.
Gonna try a new move.
Right.
That's funny.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. Y'all, I hope y'all are enjoying this date night tonight on Look and Talk. The more you drink, the better we sound. We're closing out October with the ultimate date night. Now, what do y'all think of the state of relationships today from what y'all all see in social media and everywhere? Like, what do y'all think of the relationships just observing them today?
Well, it's a lot of selfishness. Like we talked. It's a lot of
people aren't emotionally mature. Like stuff that I was probably thinking in my 20s and doing in my 20s, I see 30-year-olds like doing and being proud of it. And I also feel like it is publicized more on the bad is publicized more on social media. So in my immediate circle, what I see around me is relationships, people flourishing. I see single women taking care of themselves, getting themselves together, loving on themselves. So even like the women that aren't in relationships, I see them doing well and taking care of themselves, because that's really the main relationship you should be focusing on if you're not in a relationship, is taking care of yourself and making sure that you're the best person that you could possibly be. I always tell like my single family members that I'm like, buy a house. So when you meet a man, he have a house and y'all decide which one y'all want to rent out and which one y'all want to live in. Or if you're going to, sell one and get a bigger one. So like, let that be your problem, not so make sure that you're the best person that you can be before you get into a relationship. So I would say like in social media, I don't see that. I don't hear that. I just hear like what I see on social media. I'm like, shit, I'm glad I'm married. It's bad.
And it's a shame. It's an absolute shame because there's a lot of, the word that came to mind when you said selfishness, I was thinking just fake. There's people out there, it's these 5-second glimpses of not even what's really happening in their lives. It's like these quick glimpses, like we could be fighting. I've watched couples sit there having disagreements, arguments, and then somebody whips out a camera and it's like, oh, it's all peaches and cream. And it's no, it's not. It's like, I think Melody said it, emotional intelligence. People are missing emotional intelligence because there's a thing that's called relational. In the book, Emotional Intelligence 2.0, it talks about 4 different quadrants. But one thing that we need to work on is ourselves. You know, Melody hit the nail on the head. Not just when you're single, though. I think that even as we're married, what do they tell you when you get on the plane? In case there's a need for oxygen, that the masks are going to drop, what do they tell you to do? Put your mask on first.
Mask on first. And then take care of the child.
And the same thing happens in your marriage. We're so, I won't say so many couples are focused on, well, she needed to fix that. She needed to get over that. Or she needed to, or he needs to get better at this, that, and the other. But if we put on our mask first, our oxygen, and make sure that I'm creating the best version of myself, I can guarantee that more times than not, the person that you've decided to actually be your mate is going to see that you're doing better. So they're going to try and keep stride with you. And then they're going to put on their mask, and they're going to do better. And then it becomes of how can I out better each other?
It's not a bad competition.
Exactly.
Right.
It's not a bad competition for making each other better. Now, Charlamagne, I saw that. Y'all look like y'all had something to say about that.
Oh no. So we were discussing one night. So every Wednesday we it's kind of like our meetup. We have like a bath, a ritual, and we just sit there and like whatever's on the table, whatever you want to talk about, we talk. And she came out and said to me, once my career started taking off and she seen me growing, she wanted to do better. She just didn't know what she wanted to do. And then now, fast forward, her career is taking off. And now she's going through all these challenges. And she's like, now I see, I apologize for the shit I put you through while you were going through because now I see what you were going through and I understand, I understand the feeling. I understand that I was trouble. And I was like, I expect that because, this is my baby, but she acts like a baby sometimes. So she's just like a spoiled brat. So when she said that to me, it was a relief, but at the same time, I was like, yeah, you ain't seen nothing yet. Just wait, the ride is gonna get worse, but it's gonna be easy because I'm there with you, So yeah, so that was, I mean, everything that we talked about so far, we've kind of discussed within the last month, and it's funny that it's coming up now. So we were meant to be here. I always say we are where we're meant to, where we need to be. And I said that to you last time, Vic. We talked. So I'm enjoying this. I appreciate it. Thank you for having us on.
Nah, thank y'all for coming back on. I'm enjoying this as well. Now, Married and Crazy, I see y'all got your hands up. What's up?
I just wanted to just kind of piggyback a little bit on what you all just said when you said the check-in. So we have that too. I don't know, we get excited when people say same stuff. We'd be like, yeah, that's us, I'm doing it too, you know what I'm saying? But people don't realize, I feel like couples don't realize how important it is to have that specific time, the check-in. And it, sometimes it's just very impromptu. I'm in the office or he's wherever. One of us will come up to the other one and be like, hey, are we good? And that means something. It's not just like, oh, do you need me to take your plate or so? Are we good? That delves deeper just because of what we've been through. Okay, so we talked about the stabbing and stuff, but I didn't say at year 4, I told him I wanted a divorce because of all the fallout that happened behind from the time he got stabbed to up to that point. We were actually at our anniversary dinner at a very expensive restaurant. And I was like, I just want a divorce. So the check-in kind of saved us. I mean, more stuff than that, but we had to learn how to say, are we good? Are you okay? Do you need something? How am I meeting your need? If I'm not meeting your need, tell me what I need to do or whatever. I had to learn how to be unselfish in that point in regards to my partner. I think, we use the word selfish. Selfish is fine when you're doing self-care, because you have to be selfish at that point when you're doing your self-care. But outside of my self-care, I cannot be selfish in my relationship, because we're a team. This ain't tennis. I ain't playing by myself. You know what I'm saying? We're playing together. So I just appreciate that, the check-in, because we do it too.
And I'll just add this little tiny tidbit on top of that. When you check in, be prepared for the answer. Don't try and check in if you ain't ready to hear.
That's right.
Because
that's right.
You got to go in not with an agenda. You're checking in because you honestly want to get better. You also want to know, you want to hear what the other person truly needs or wants. Because if they come back and they got something for you,
like, I got a list.
You got to be prepared to act on it.
You got to be ready.
That was a big thing, because I had to learn how to like Mel. I mean, you guys, she can explain anything very well. I had to learn how to really, really listen, meaning understand. So when she said something, like, I had to sit there and just go, so what's up? And say nothing else. And she just like poured out. And then that was like the first time we ever had that check-in, and then the next time it was a lot more easy, and it free flow. But she's told me things that I thought I knew.
Right.
Back to Will and Jada, like, but I heard things before that I thought I knew and understood, and I didn't. I was doing like small things that was incorrect. She hates that my underwear never makes it to the dirty clothes hamper. That wasn't on the table, but I'm just saying, I know she hates it, so I won't put it in. I just do it on purpose just to get her to talk to me, because she's so busy now. But she's like, it was refreshing. I went to work the next day and we didn't even do it. You know what I mean? There was no intercourse at all. It was just like, wow, I felt like we did. Yeah. I felt like we hit another level into our relationship. And then we sat on the phone like kids all day at work, and so I was just like, wow, you want to go and talk again? You want to talk about it. And then it got boring. But we had put everything out on the table. So it was like, we put more into it, but it was.
You had to learn that, because he's a fixer, and I'm like, I don't need you to fix
anything.
I just need
so
you.
I just have to listen.
I think a lot of men are like that.
Yes.
Yeah, we are.
A lot of men are like that, and it's so frustrating. Sometimes I just want to vent, and like I don't need an action. Like I need you to actually just understand. Oh, I get. Yeah, that girl is crazy. Why she try you at work like that? Like I don't need a fix. But the check-in thing is interesting to me though, because like I'm big for single women advocating for themselves and advocating for their needs. So when you guys were talking about that, I'm like, well, why do you have to check? This is naive single people, but like, why do I have to check in? Why didn't the partner just say, I don't like when you put your drawers, don't put your drawers in the hamper. You know what I mean? Like, but then I think it kind of goes to the picking your battles thing. Like, where's that balance? Because I'm like, I need you to stop doing this thing that bothers me, but I am certain this is a naive single question, but this is why you guys are here.
And it's
not naive single question. That's actually a good question.
It's not naive at all, because I think we're all raised in different homes. So we all do things differently, and certain things that were okay in my home, I might like, it may not be okay in your home. Like, there was nobody sitting in my living room, and my kids trash my living room here. So they like wrestle in the living room.
You're doing it right now. I don't know if you guys can hear it.
So I had to, those are just things that you have to get used to, and things that you talk about. Like, because there are certain things where you're just like, no, it's off limits. Like, this is no flexibility here.
Yeah, we call it the bucket.
Yeah,
we're bucket A, bucket B, and bucket C. And like, A is like, the A bucket is like your hard nose no.
But when you want to still be yourself, but at the same time you're developing a relationship with somebody, and to be transparent and to be open with somebody, you have to you're going to have to bend, and you're going to have to learn how to basically bend while still being yourself, like still being the person that your spouse fell in love with. But being not saying, well, this is how I do this, and this is, I'm independent, and that I feel like the older you get, the harder that part of it is going to be.
Or the longer you've been single, yes.
Right. But it's doable. It's doable. I've seen it. Like I've seen people get married in their 40s and only date for 8 months.
And they get married.
And they're like happy, like the way they have meshed all together, but their communication is really great.
I think that kind of plays too. That goes back to what you were saying about the why is it hard part. Because you have all these different things that I'm a whole person with a whole attitude, with a whole mindset, with a whole different upbringing, I have my own way of thinking. So when you're putting two people that come from, like Melly said, different households, the way that you were raised, the way my kids were raised, or the things that they do now, I would have got beat down if my mom would not have allowed it. But now I'm just like, I don't even care. So if we're coming from, we're having to discover what's the best way to communicate. I don't, the whole, well, shouldn't a partner already know? Well, no, because they don't read minds, even though what's common sense to me is not common sense to him. So that's where a lot of the hard part's going to be like, why would you do that? That just doesn't make any sense to me. He's like, well, it makes perfect sense to me. So trying to, how do you fit both worlds into, well, let me say, how do you fit two rectangles into a square? You can't. So somebody's going to have to give. And if I don't feel like I'm wrong, I don't want to give. He doesn't feel like he's wrong. He's not going to want to give. So we're this big tug of war comes on. And I'm like, well, I remember I said, I love you. I'm like, I don't love you right now because you're just being, so now I set my way. And I have to remember, okay, kind of go back to that emotional feeling that I had when I said I do. I was starry-eyed. I was like, oh my God, that kind of thing. I don't feel that way when I have to do something that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
And remember that you talked about age and all of that. When we met, there were like 27 chapters already written in both of our own individual books. And so when you come together, you're starting to then form a new novel, right? But you've had this whole supporting story. So because what makes sense to you, I may have never been introduced in my previous 27 chapters. That's a foreign concept.
Yeah.
So I have no idea. And so it's just recognizing that, get to the why instead of like, well, why do you do what you do? Like, why'd you do that? Not that short on the surface why. But what made you think that doing that was okay? How do you figure out where this fits and why you do the things you do? There's a way to approach it. And
I really do feel like the older married couples approach things differently because today's generation. Because do you feel like with today's generation, it's like they find one thing wrong with you and then they're just done with you? I'm like, do y'all just live to break up? My goodness, like you can't ever have anything without putting in work. And
nobody
I know for us
people,
it's like we get tired of that, and it's like, so how did y'all know this was the right person that I want to work it out with? I'm gonna fight for this person because some people they're like they look back like I should have fought for that person, but then you realize you fight for the person, but then sometimes you realize the person is just not worth fighting for. So how did y'all navigate that, whether or not this is worth the fight or not worth the fight?
It's not fair. It's not a fair question for us because I actually fell in love with her the first night that I met her. Like she said, it took 8 days for her. And after I got stabbed, I'd had 2 open heart surgeries. But on that first open heart surgery, in order for you to leave the hospital, there's certain things that need to take place, right? So you have to have just to be straightforward, a bowel movement in order to leave. Well, I was just gutted open, but I was gutted from here. I was from here to my belly button. And I finally had that movement, but I couldn't wipe. And she stepped up and says, well, I'll do that for you. That's what I knew she was the one. I was like, okay.
Hey, I ain't never gonna get married.
Now we got a party.
Wow.
Oh,
That's so funny.
talked about that too. Yeah.
Because I was like, she ain't leaving. I can't find nobody else to do that. So
Yeah.
whatever it takes, you are my one.
That's beautiful.
Well,
Wow.
for me, I honestly, I remember I prayed about this whole, because like I said, we were in our late 20s and I was like, okay, I am not finna be spending my time wasting no milk duds or whatever. Actually, I like milk duds. So no Boston red bean candies, I remember I was at work and a friend of mine who was there the night we met, I was like, look, I like him. I feel like, he's the one, blah, 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 whatever. I was like, I just want to say a prayer. And everything that I prayed about at the time I was at her desk, I went back to my desk and he called. There was a message from him and it addressed every single thing that I prayed about. And I was like, okay, I'm already head over heels at this point. But at that, I was like, okay, that's
confirmation.
This is exactly. And even when I told him at year 4, I was like, I want a divorce, blah, blah, blah. I promise you, the Lord was like, okay, don't do this. And I was being hard-headed. I was like, well, I'm fist to. So I'm not going, I have my own. And he was like, there was like a tug of war, I felt like, between the Lord and I, because I was just like, no, I'm ready to go. I'm out. He's like, I'm not ready for you to be out. And so he made moves to make sure that I did not leave.
And my message wasn't even deep. It was just simple.
It was just the things that I
girl, I'm gonna take you to churches and you got to pay for nothing.
Not churches.
Okay, he finna get a whooping on the thing. Shut up.
She pulled out the ruler.
Right.
No, so I like to hear it from them too. Like what?
Can y'all want to top that?
No, we can't top that. But, I will say the one thing when I first met Mel, the first thing that drew me to her, and still to this day, it's hard to walk away from her because she knows, like I can look into her eyes and her eyes just, I'd be like, don't, like Medusa, don't look into her eyes because if I do, I'm gonna get hooked. You know what I'm saying? And I look into her eyes and I can be completely pissed with her. And I'll look into her eyes and she just like give me this look and I'm just like, damn, she got me. She got me. And I still had that feeling. I can't even explain to you what it felt like. It feels right though. Mm-hmm. It never felt wrong. Mm-hmm. So the thing that made me know she was in our first quote unquote date or the day we met, she didn't even pay attention to me. And I thought it was like, this wasn't going to go anywhere until she called me. So, like I said, to this day, it's a certain look that she gave me and it just melts me inside. And I can't move. I just be like, yeah, okay, I got to do it. And I've always felt that way. Like when I'm, I work in the snow, I got to go to work and she gives me this look like, you going to do this, right? And I'm like, yep. I'm just attached to her in that manner. So it's only if she closes her eyes I can walk out the door. But the day she do that, that's probably the last day we'll be together. But until then, I'll be here.
So, yeah, I could say it's similar, like with confirmation, because I had lost my mother, and we lost like a few close family members back to back. So that's how I ended up in California because I'm from New Jersey. So when we lost
the
mother,
eyes, that's how I ended up here. I was in California living my life.
So we went to I moved to New Jersey, my siblings and I, with my aunt, and I was just really having a tough time with adjusting. I was really guarded. And there was when I met him, that's why I really liked him when I met him. But I didn't even know how to show any type of emotion. It was just like, yeah, I like you. And then that's how, that's how I talk. And he was just like really asking me like penetrating questions. Like, what's your
So I can
5-year
penetrate.
what's your 5-year plan?
Yeah.
He was asking me, like, I didn't even disclose to people. I wouldn't even tell them how my mom died or that she died. Because I had shared that with people, and you would feel like I would feel like I was being insulted, or I would feel very vulnerable when they didn't take it the way that I thought they would take it. And when I just felt really open to sharing that with them on our second date, and he parked the car and told me to go and talk to my mom. We were at the beach, and he was like, you should talk to her. Do you talk to your mom? I talked to my grandfather. He passed away not too long ago, and it feels really good. He's like, I'm going to step out the car. I'm going to take a walk, and you have a talk with your mom. And
That's what's up.
Then I was like, wow, like all the guards were gone.
That's what's up. Yep.
Wow. Way to give us single people hope for Black love. You know,
over here upset.
Y'all did that. Y'all are really over here giving the single people hope for Black love. Now, I think this might be the last question though. What do y'all say to the couples that's been together for some years that look like they're about to be on the verge of divorce? Because I know y'all see the couples that have been together for 10 or 20 years. Now I know where they're just like, oh, we can't do this no more, or divorce. Or the kids grow up and now someday divorce. Like, what do y'all think happens? Like, what's y'all message to the people that look like they might be on the fringe of a divorce?
Ooh,
it depends on how bad they are.
Yeah, it depends how. Like we have couples all across that spectrum that we talk to and deal with.
And
like
some
a
of
lot of
them
them are like
miserable. And I'm like, if y'all don't get away from us and get away from each other, I don't like.
Yeah, but the thing is, believe it or not, they work for each other because nobody wants to deal with their shit. So. And we strongly encourage, because I think, and I never knew this, and I try not to put our energy out there, like, you know, because this is not perfect at all. Mm-mm. Like we always have disagreements about certain things, and I think certain couples gravitate to us and go, well, what do you guys think? They don't come out and say it. They kind of like, you guys want to hang out? And then it gradually comes out their issue. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I strongly just tell them, look, understanding is always like the key. Like you might not, you know, want to listen to what they're actually talking about. You might disagree with what they've done, or whatever, but just find some understanding and just fuck the blame. Like don't worry. Let's just figure out what the problem is, because y'all got together for a reason, right? Right. So if they're on the verge of leaving, you know, I say leave, but put it on pause. Like try to figure out what's wrong. Yeah, you know, as long as you guys are not trying to kill each other, then just try to figure out, is because I feel like everybody has somebody out there for them. You know, when you find them, you find them. And if you found each other and it's not like totally bad, you don't want to hurt them, or it's just like you guys are just disagreeing right now, it might be for the moment. The kids might be in the way. Mm-hmm. You know, once the kids are gone, you learn to love. We had that. Her grandparents had that.
Oh yeah, they were, once we moved to California, because they were raising us, I came back and I said, who are these people? They were like in the kitchen kissing each other, and my grandfather was pinching my grandma's butt. I'd never seen any of that, but it was just because we needed to get the hell out of their way so they can enjoy each other. They had never been on a date until we left. And
so, you know, I encourage people to just try to do something different. Try to talk to each other, because at the end, you're just going to be sitting around, you know. I have a cousin who is player. He always had women, even though he had a woman at home and a child. Player, like women would go to his house and drop off like Valentine's Day stuff, and his girlfriend would sign for it, like that bad.
Oh my gosh.
The day she left him, she broke his heart. Yeah. And he been trying to get back with her. Their daughter is what, 20 something years. They have grandkids. And let me tell you, when he see her, he's still, hey,
did you eat?
Are
you good?
You good?
Like,
I said,
it's not coming back.
You ain't getting that back. Because you had it. You had it. She went through years of that, and now she just got fed up.
And she would rather be alone.
And she'd rather be alone than to deal with. And he's just like, nah, I'm not giving up. So,
appreciate
what you have.
Hello, yes.
That was a good story.
Yes. Appreciate what you have before it's gone. Yes.
We would just add that every couple is different. And much like what they were saying, we always say barring abuse, physical, emotional, financial, spiritual, barring abuse, we believe that everything is fixable or figure outable, as Marie Forleo likes to say. But if you can understand each other, again, it comes back to understanding, but understanding the non-negotiables. I think every couple has these non-negotiables, these things that no matter what, I can deal with a lot of things, but I can't deal with this. You need to know each other's non-negotiables, because you need to know if you're playing golf or you're playing any sport, basketball, you're playing football, there's an out of bounds.
Mm-hmm.
The moment you step out of bounds, it stops all play. So you need to know what the out of bounds are for your relationship.
Yeah.
Because the moment you step out, you can't expect to let you keep playing. If you knew the rules of the game, and you purposefully, willfully decided, I'm going out of bounds, then it's like, okay, well, it doesn't matter if it's year 1, year 5, year 20, year 30 of your marriage. If that non-negotiable is still in place and you knowingly stepped on it, went that direction, they need probably more assistance than we can probably give them if they're not willing to rediscuss or at least renegotiate that non-negotiable, have a conversation about it. Has something changed?
But also kind of like you guys were saying about your grandparents, how that was a season. A lot of times people, I think before their season is over, they're just like, I'm done. I don't care no more. They're not willing to stay the course, barring abuse, all types of abuse. We draw the line at abuse, like you said, emotional, physical, verbal, financial, whatever it is, barring abuse. Let's figure it out. Another component. Okay, so we're married into crazy, but crazy is an acronym, and it stands for compassionate, real, accountable, zealous, and yielding. So maybe if I showed some more compassion for what you're going through, and I'm not making it about me, and I'm trying to see where you're coming from, let's open up the line of communication. Let's talk about it, and not talk about it to be right, but talk about it to really going back to understanding what's going on. So, okay, so how can we fix it? What do we do? Blah, blah, blah. But it requires work. And sometimes people just like, I just don't want to work no more.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to do it. So if you're intentional about your relationship and how you feel about this person, you're going to have to put some work in.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Major,
Amen.
please.
Amen.
Definitely got to put the work in. You know what I'm saying? No matter what it is, you definitely have to put the work in. Last question, y'all. What are the advice to the single people? Because what y'all want to tell the single people, besides us two right here listening to this? What do y'all want to tell?
No, this for me too. Talk to me.
Me too as well. Me too as well. But everybody else included besides me and Jazz. Because I'm down here in Florida struggling being single, and she up in DC hating it too. So we both feel each other pain in 2 different parts of the country. So, and I'm pretty sure there are people listening to the podcast probably thinking the same thing.
I would say throw away all those hang-ups that you have, what the person's supposed to look like, what they're supposed to say to you. You don't know. You don't know what, God talks to us every day and we don't listen. We don't hear anything he's saying. So we just don't listen. Right. I can honestly say when I first met Mel, she talks about this all the time. I was attracted to her and she wasn't quote unquote my type. I don't know if I was her type, but when I seen her, I was like, huh?
So he was.
I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm just saying in instinct, I was attracted to her because I don't have a type. I told her that you are my type. That's what happened. Because I wasn't looking for the niche person, the person, this is the one. that one probably don't exist. That person that comes to you, like with a general purpose, a good conversation. That might be a person. That's the best thing I can say.
Yeah.
Don't go looking for something that you think is supposed to be, or you don't know what it is.
Yeah. I would say, like, I believe in manifestation. So I like everything that I look to or want in life. I usually write it down, and then I like write down ways that I can make it happen, or write down like things that a sign from God that this is, what it's supposed to be. I'm supposed to be here. So the same way I did that for my, my job, my children, I had, I dreamed of them. The same way I did that for my education, I did that for Rashard. So I had like a list of things that I expected in a dating partner. I wasn't even looking for a boyfriend at the time, but just a dating partner. I wrote this list at 16.
She wanted those shit marbles.
So I just like, I believe in having like a list, but then also being present in the moment, like not having a whole bunch of things that you want, like a whole plan of things. Like if you're on a date with somebody and you having coffee and you're like, you shouldn't be planning your wedding with this person.
Yeah.
Like you really sit there and listen to what they're saying to you in the moment. But just, being present.
I was like, man, hey, my kids come out with that hair. It's over. Bunch of superficial shit. I was really like, my mom's gonna love her. She speaks so well. Listen to her. Hey, I was doing all that.
Yeah, not knowing that I have like a gutter mouth too, because it was the first date.
Yeah.
Right.
That part.
Yeah. That's funny.
You hear this phrase thrown around all the time, be the change you want to see in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And what I would recommend to any single person, what I have recommended is that take that a step further. Be the person that you would want to eventually meet. Not that you have to take on traits, but be the best version of yourself without worrying about attracting somebody.
Yes.
I do believe in the law of attraction. I believe in energy. I have a strong faith in God, but I believe that God created energy, and that what you put out generally is going to be reciprocated. So if you are putting out some bad energy, some bad juju, whatever you want to call it, then be the best version of you. So be that person. If you're imagining what your spouse, male or female, should actually look like and be like, and again, categorizing this tight, stop doing that. Think about the kind of person you want. And you know what? Go a step further and think about what would I look like arm in arm with that person? Who would I need to be to have that person, and become that person? And some of you would genuinely be happy to look at every single morning in the mirror with or without that individual. And if you achieve that, it's going to eventually attract the right person to you. But let's say it doesn't. Would you be okay just being happy in your fullness and becoming exactly who you envision yourself to be? If you're good with that, and I think that's where we should all get, because that's where everything begins.
That's right.
That, I think, is what I would tell someone.
But I want to, and I agree with everything that everyone says, but I really resonate with what Melody said.
I knew you were going to say that.
Well, anyway, because I also believe in manifestation. I believe that, and honestly, he is everything that I said that I wanted. The kindness, the consideration, the way that he treats me, just everything that about Lovey, the way Lovey treats me, is exactly what I said that I wanted. And my family, especially the guys in my family, ain't nobody gonna be like that. Ain't no blah, blah, blah. That don't even whatever. But I was like, well, this is what I said I wanted for me.
Yeah.
They're not gonna be like that for y'all or whomever. So, but when he came, I was like, this is who I prayed for. This is what I said that I wanted. And I never deviated from that. It wasn't about not physical, but the, what is that? I'm trying to think of. It wasn't like, income. I wasn't talking about that. I was talking.
Sure wasn't. She made 3 times as much as me. I mean, she saw me and was like, oh, this is my cute little project. Let me work on you.
But it was about, how this man is going to treat me, because I knew what I was worth. I knew what I demanded, and I never deviated from that. I'm like, nope, stop right there. No, and people, okay, I'm bougie, I'm all these different things, because I did not tolerate a lot of the things that my cousins or my friends or other people did. This is what I wanted. And I'm not going to, and if I can't get that type of man, I'll just be by myself. And it wasn't until then, but when I was totally satisfied, I was loving me, I was self-caring me, I'm having a good time. I was like, Lord, now you want to send somebody? Because now I'm having fun, I don't want nobody, but he came. So it was about, and then another thing too, we have to start thinking of it. I believe in positive projection. There ain't no good men out here. No, there's good men out there. The right one just has not found you yet. So instead of saying there ain't no good men out here or there ain't no women out here, no, there are plenty of good ones. They just haven't, the right one just hasn't found me yet. When he finds me, he's gonna know what to do with me, and it's not on.
Yeah, Melody said something too that I don't want to glance over. It was earlier where she talked about everybody in her circle, in her social circle. She doesn't know what it's like to be there because she's not around those types of couples that have the negativity.
Yeah.
Guard your circle. Make your circle small. Keep it positive. Because if you're around those individuals that are complaining or whatever, guess what you're going to attract?
Because that's what
They
see them and they're like, can we just hang out with y'all? And I know sometimes you're like, I don't want you to hang out with us. But,
And I was going actually, like, y'all made me think of a couple that is in our circle. I remember when we were doing happy hours and they were both newly single. And one of them said to the other, man, I just want to find somebody that wants to hang out and just like, no drama, just have fun. And that's what the male said. And the woman said, me too. Maybe we can help each other find that person. And now they've been married for 7 years.
All right.
Nice.
That's real right there. That's some real manifestations. Like, you're helping them find somebody, you just helping them find you.
That right there, right in front of you.
Right in front of you.
I love that.
Well, I want to thank everyone for hopping on this date night podcast. This has been wonderful. This has definitely been eye-opening. Now let's go ahead and talk to the people one more time. How can the people get in touch with you? Jasmine, how can the people follow you and follow your podcast?
Yep. Social media is at Listen to Your Single Friend. Twitter is twitter.com/yoursingle, FRND. ListenToYourSingleFriend.com is the website. And I just started my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Listen to Your Single Friend. So I'm everywhere. I'm in these streets. Just search Listen to Your Single Friend.
All right, sure, Mel. How can people find the Unprofessional Opinion?
On IG, you can find us at unprofessional_opinion. Facebook is Unprofessional Opinion.
Yes, and we're also on Twitter under Unprofessional Opinion. You can get our merch at unprofessional-opinion.com. We're on all podcasting platforms for your listening.
24 hours on IG, so just hit us up whenever.
That's real. Last but not least, Married Into Crazy. How can the people get a hold of y'all?
The same thing. All of our social media handles are Married Into Crazy. So you can definitely go there. Our website is marriedintocrazy.com. You can go there, check out some of our coaching. We provide not just our podcasts, it's international, but we also coach married couples, premarital couples, those individuals that are post-marriage as well. We have certifications behind us, the whole 9 yards, but we really want you to just really be willing to invest in yourselves. Because the first thing we always talk about is, are you willing to put in that work? And you can go to marriedintocrazy.com, go to the coaching tab, and we can do a free discovery call where we can sit there for anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes just to have a conversation, chop it up, and see if we're the right ones for you and vice versa, because we do get to pick who we work with. So
did you say Facebook and stuff?
Well, all social media. It's all, and we're on every single one of the social or one of the podcast platforms as well. Amazon, iTunes, all that.
Can we call tonight? Can we?
We on Cali.
We're in California.
I was thinking about calling too.
You know, it's funny.
It's early for us.
Are you guys in New Jersey right now?
Mm-hmm.
We just left New Jersey.
Yeah.
Last Friday.
Yeah, I just did a TED Talk over in Asbury Park.
Okay, so you're up north.
North, yeah.
We're south.
Yeah,
We're south. We're next to Philly.
Okay, yeah. So we were right there. We were on the Jersey Shore, and it's funny. I think Jasmine's over in the DC area. Our niece is right there in Maryland. She is Miss Black Maryland. Moving on to Black USA. So
congratulations.
Right.
Congratulations.
Wow.
Yeah, we take it. Oh my God.
Yes. Always. Well, y'all can find me at Look at Talk Podcast. Y'all already know it on Instagram. On Twitter, it's Look at Talk Podcast as well. All platforms. I want to thank everybody for coming on once again. I owe all of y'all a guest appearances. Jasmine, I owe you 2 of them. So I owe all of y'all. Like I said, whenever y'all ready to take me up on that, I might be in Florida, but I'm just a DM away. That's for anybody listening. And thank you to listener for listening to Look at Talk tonight. I hope y'all got something out of this, and I hope that your hope for Black love has been restored. If you're single and if you're married, just hold on to the person because you never know what's out there. Until the next time, keep them drinks pulled up, and we out this thing. Good night, y'all.